Thank you for following me. A lot of folks have shown a lot of support most recently with this new project I've created, which is technically what I'm doing is using Adam 12 as a source of information and something. It's actually a tool, an instrument in order to help um, develop FTO training. And the reason I'm doing this, it's one of those things where if you can't contribute something positive, then why even say something? And I personally seeing that the FTO process or field training officer or journeyman style process in law enforcement has since diminished over the past years. And a lot of law enforcement leaders make excuses why not to use that process. I think an FTO process should last about a year after an academy. In fact, I think an academy should be about at the minimum 6 months, and the FTO process a year long. And this investment guarantees better success as it applies to future law enforcement. Here in the US, you can see the result of not having this continuity of training and leadership and the creation of new uh, law enforcement personnel in many realms, because you see the incidents, you see the fruits of the lack of training, the lack of investment. You see the behaviors of a lot of these new law enforcement officials, and specifically police officers, which I would say they're the front line. I could care less really for a lot of folks that work in all these specialty organizations and groups. The real ground pounder is that beat cop that's on a patrol unit, driving around our neighborhoods and communities, and really serving, to protect and serve. They're doing something, and they're doing it without as much support as we can see when we look at Adam 12. We can see the staffing. I mean, there's things I could see as a former police officer, former police supervisor, former corrections person. I can see a true organization, well established command, appropriate staffing, leadership that's actively interacting with the ground pounders and the people out in the field doing their work and directing them appropriately in order to meet the needs of the community. This is what I could see in Adam 12. And I also see something else. I see that crime since 1968 is about the same. It's the same type of crime that's been going on for a long time. I'm only so many within the first series. I'm watching the first series right now. I'm only like the third or fourth in right now, and there's 7 years. This thing went on for 7 years. I actually tried to just go on YouTube and try to find it. Wasn't successful with finding every one of those specific what do you call it? Not just series, but anyway, the sections. I wasn't successful, so I had to subscribe to Apple TV and download the individual series. They're like $9 or something per series in order to get Adam 12 or any of those older um, television shows. And so where I'm going with this is that I've been watching it as I'm developing information. I'm gathering my thoughts, I'm writing it down, typing it up. Then I'm putting it through an AI process with reference to grammar and being able to create a piece of material that can actually, it's going to be available in multiple languages, but it I'm actually learning a lot about how, wow, we as a society, and you look at it as a society, have gone in the wrong direction for a long time. And you start looking at the law enforcement folks, the police folks, the professionalism, and then the interplay with the community, the values of the community. That's a big deal. Um, you actually, when you watch these series, you can actually start distinguishing a lot of the same political garbage, the same stuff that happens in today's age in 2026 is no different as what was going on in the 1960s and 1970s. So where's this correlation? It's obvious that um, law enforcement, security organizations are constantly bombarded with this stress of not just meeting the needs of the community, but surviving as they're providing the services. And so again, this it really brings back around the need for proper FTO processes. My personal recommendation, based on my years of experience, plus things that I'm actually learning as of late, is that an at the minimum, a police academy, a police training academy should be 6 months long, at the minimum. I would say that an FTO process should be just as long, or maybe a little longer. So anywhere from 6 months to a year, where a proper field training officer process occurs in order to develop and invest in the future of those law enforcement professionals, specifically police officers, because there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of things that they lack, and they lack it, especially in 2026, as a result of bad politics, bad influence, and a lack of investment by government leaders, by people within federal, state, county levels. And everything's always been, most recently in the past decade or so, is where they want to streamline things. They want to speed things up. They want to put training online. But you know what? Hands on you can never replace online training with hands on. You just can't do it. There's just something about the tangibility and the interaction and iterative communication of hands on training that is not reciprocal when it comes to online training. Online training is good with reference to review, refreshers, updates, and maybe, for instance, helping someone or an organization maintain a record of constant updates of policy and or updates of academy training that apply to that individual or that workforce. But I would tell you right now that the what I've learned on this first part, I haven't watched the whole first series of Adam 12. I learned that the FTO process is significant. It's a big deal, and I would like to share that with you. I think that if you're a law enforcement leader, corrections leader, maybe you should take the time and watch some of these old series, specifically one like Adam 12, which was geared. It was actually focused on policy and procedure. It was created in a way where specific incident reports were chosen, and real equipment and staff from LAPD in those times were used to create this series. So it's really relevant with reference to police operations. Now I see it with my big head, right? I see it in all different spectrums. I could even see it where other organizations, business organizations, could learn a lot from Adam 12 because of, you see other things. You see organizational communication. You see the thought process at the user level, at the level of importance with reference to what's really touching the community, and that's that police officer that's performing patrols and doing the work that's being directed to them, you know, and pretty much um, trusted within their authority and scope to provide those services for the people. And so that's what I'm thinking. I think that I personally believe that we're headed in the right direction with this. I think that this first part is kind of rough, creating that first video. In fact, some of the stuff that I created with the AI, this time I did it differently. What I did was I typed it all up and then I cleaned it up with the AI, but a lot of the information is coming directly from me, and it's not coming from the AI. What I'm doing is I'm actually using my personal experiences and putting it together so that way it's more consistent with my viewpoints, with my personal experience and professional experience, in order to attribute the connection with reference to someone who's retired now, had worked in law enforcement, corrections, and in government for more than 30 years, and make a connection with reference to those pioneers, those champions that really blazed the trail for us in order to become. The U.S. is probably one of the leaders in professional law enforcement. A lot of people would probably debate that thought process, but when you really look at overall world law enforcement organizations, the best police organizations are the United States because of the variety and the diversity of issues the United States has, where other countries and or cultures just don't have that much diversity as it applies to the what's going on a 7 day a week, 24-hour schedule within any community here in the United States. And no matter what the politics are in today's California to yesterday's California, I think that California law enforcement are probably the I would say near the tip of the spear or the tip of the spear as it applies to law enforcement and police work because of these trails being blazed, there. And so there are still to date many great professionals in California that I would like to learn from as well, because I'm seeing the culture and understanding now, looking at like Adam 12 and making connections with reference to people I served with who had worked at California Highway Patrol or some other California agency, and then I ran across them in the federal realm, and finding out that now I understand a lot of these things are built into them starting at the police academy through their FTO process, and that's why um, that's probably a compliment to their great personality and why they're so good at their job in law enforcement, aside from them being really great people and really smart people. So just to let you guys know this, this is just an intro video. I'm just talking to you guys about it because I felt we needed that. We need to talk about what are we doing here. So we're using Adam 12, a video series that was created between 1968 and 1975. There's 7 series. We're using those series in order to develop material for FTO training. I'm sharing this information with you. You can do with it as you please. You can take away or throw away whatever you think is useful to you and your organization. And I'm promoting the use of FTO processes to you as an individual leader, and also to your organization, because I think that's what we're missing now in 2026. And I think it's very important that we start regrouping and kind of circling the wagons as it pertains to law enforcement leadership, and really focusing on the needs of, not necessarily because leaders always go to training and stuff about leadership, but how about leadership at the lowest level and training our police to be better, to help them and prepare them and give them the tools that they need. So look forward to your thoughts and your comments, and I'll talk to you guys soon.